Okay, so I feel like we're getting there with the conversation about like AI, AI, AI. We need to talk about what happens to capitalism when there's no jobs left. We talk about AI taking jobs, right? We're almost there. We talk about self-checkout, robots, delivery drones, technology replacing workers. But we're not getting to the bigger question. What happens to capitalism when people cannot work? Because capitalism depends on that. It depends on consumers buying things. It depends on workers like us earning our paychecks, paying our rent, paying our bills, debts, keeping the money moving, keeping the businesses growing. So if technology keeps advancing to the point where millions of people lose their jobs, then what? Because if jobs disappear, wages shrink. Wages shrink, people spend less. People spend less, debts go unpaid. Businesses slow down. Investors panic. Growth stalls. If growth stalls in a system built on constant growth, yes, what happens next? We're going to talk about technological unemployment. John Maynard Keynes, very influential economist, he warned about this. It's where machines advance faster than society is able to create new jobs. And his point wasn't that technology is necessarily bad. It's that productivity can rise faster than workers can create new roles. And it would create severe poverty. Okay? He believed that the answer would be policy, stepping in to reduce hardship on individuals, making sure that the benefits of technology progressing were shared more broadly. Things we could do and be in support of to organize would be higher wages, so the jobs that remain actually pay us enough to live on. Stronger unions, so that workers have bargaining power in an economy completely dominated by corporations and computers. Universal health care, so that losing your job does not mean losing access to medical care. Affordable housing, so that survival isn't tied to impossible rent prices. Universal basic income, so that if technology creates massive wealth with less human labor, the people displaced by that technology are not left with nothing. There's also job retraining and free education, so that workers aren't just discarded when these industries change. And most importantly, policies that ensure that this technological progress benefits society as a whole and not just the people who own the machines. And whether or not people realize it, that is essentially the gateway to socialism. Ooh, socialism! Using public policy, collective bargaining, and shared resources to protect ordinary people from the failures of unchecked capitalism. In theory, when technology increases productivity, a capitalist system often asks, how do profits grow? Socialist system would ask, how do the people benefit? Communist ideal would ask, communism. Communist ideal would ask, why should survival be tied to wages at all if a machine can produce abundance? Because the market stops serving the people, and then people start demanding systems that do. So do we just accept rising poverty, rising homelessness, people without health care, more families in an emergency? Do the rich get richer because companies no longer have to pay workers while everyone else fights over what's left? Or does a society eventually hit a breaking point? Because history shows when people are pushed too far, working individuals, they organize, they strike, they protest, they demand change. Maybe capitalism adapts, maybe it transforms into something else. But one thing is certain. If people can't work and people can't survive, how long are we going to stay quiet? You heard, okay?